Hello, this is Annabelle from Veile, and you are listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
So today we're going to talk to a horror metal band called Veile, and they are like partly from the UK, partly from the Netherlands, got some familiar people in the band as well. So looking forward to hearing what they got to say.
Yeah, quite a pedigree. I mean, we've got Charles from Mayhem, Annabelle from, I'm going to butcher it, Devilment, although I'm very famous for saying Devilment.
Devilment was right.
Right.
Not Devilment, no, Devilment.
Yeah. Right, and we've also got Frank from Monolith. So, I mean, these guys have quite the pedigree and quite the horror theme or the dark themes going on and all that stuff. So put it together, and I know I sent you the video for the single, The Unwelcome, and it was pretty killer.
Yeah, it was freaking great. I really liked it. I have a soft spot for, theatrical.
It's very theatrical, but it's not your normal listen. Like, I don't think you could just like put that on and go running or put it on and like cruise in the car. That's kind of deep listening, maybe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it does. And like probably best as an immersive experience.
Yes. I could see this lending itself to a really big theatrical production somewhere down the road.
Absolutely.
Where we're able to do shows and do that kind of thing. It's very, very theatrical in my head anyway. I already had like ideas, and I haven't even met them yet. And I've had ideas of how they're going to set it up. So it'd be pretty cool.
Like Diamond kind of setup.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. And that whole Netherlands ties in, right? Because that's where I think at least Frank and Charles are from.
Right.
So.
But hey, let's get them in. Let them tell us.
I don't know who we're talking to today. I don't know who's coming in first, but we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, so it was super scary music, obviously.
Scary.
Yeah, no, I love the horror metal scene. It's awesome. So when you guys play live, are you going to be adding like some gore to your show, or how does the horror aspect then translate into your performances?
Well, current times, of not being able to perform live gives us a little bit more time to develop our live act, because as you can hear, the music has a little bit of a theatrical touch to it. So I would imagine, and we've been talking about the show, but we haven't played live yet because we're a new band. So we're developing the live show as we go along. And the first ideas are also to make it kind of a theatrical setting, because the music is really storytelling. And I think that lends itself for a storytelling kind of show as well. So it will be at least visually also as how it sounds, you could see the band pictures we pictured as death portraits. I imagine we could look that way a little bit on stage as well, but most of it is still a surprise, as we still haven't really decided on how we're definitely going to do it. But at least now you know a little bit what you can expect. So the things you visualize when you listen to music, we'll try to express that live as well.
Are you guys writing the music for the story and the stage, or are you just coming up with the stage show after the music is written? Does that make sense?
Well, I kind of need the help from my bandmates on this one, because Charles is actually the one who writes the music. And it's getting dark. I'm moving inside the house. I'll go to a place where it's better light and stuff.
Oh, no worries.
Charles is the main songwriter, and I believe he starts with something like a big picture in his head, kind of a direction where he wants to go. I'm not sure if he has the story in his mind that he wants to tell, but at least the sort of story. And when he goes along writing the songs, he tries to follow the storytelling picture he has in his mind. So, if you heard our single, the Unwelcome.
Yes.
That's actually based on the Treasure of Abbot Thomas, which is kind of an old horror story about a church where a treasure is hidden, and it's guarded by spirits of the dead. And well, the main character tries to obviously, get that treasure, but as soon as he does, he gets haunted for the rest of his life until he puts back that treasure where it belongs. And the dynamics of the song, and then I mean like the arrangements and the ups and downs in the song, kind of follow that story.
It's very, and I don't know, this is not meant in a bad way, but it's very chaotic and at times as well. I mean, I guess that was intentional part of the writing.
You mean chaotic as in the following up of different musical parts?
Yes.
Or yeah, it's most of it might not be logical at first listen,
right?
And I think it takes a couple of listens to get into the cadence of the stuff. So it's not just one tempo. It's what you hear a lot in extreme metal, of course. That's when the song is written in one certain tempo, for instance, 240 BPM, and all the variations go on that tempo. Then you have a fast part and then a slower part, but you can still count 240 BPM.
But then you got Annabelle's vocals layered over the top in that weird, haunting way, and it's stunning, striking, I guess.
Yeah, and that was actually really cool for me too, because when I recorded the drums, I hadn't heard any vocals yet, which is pretty cool. I follow the music when I write my drums, and I try to emphasize certain accents, help with the build-ups, that kind of things. And then when she did her vocals on top of it, obviously she already knew what she was going to do, and Charles knew what she was going to do. But I was also surprised by, the variety of vocal styles she encompasses, and the way she uses it to emphasize the story and complete the music.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I found out I can still listen to the single myself as well. Usually I get bored really fast with listening to my own music because I know it in and out. Right. But in this case I don't. So I can still listen to it and discover new parts in the music. For instance, a little detail of a violin somewhere that I hadn't heard before. Mm-hmm. Or when you focus on one of the layers in the vocals, you get a different experience than when you focus on the main layers of vocals, for instance. So you can just keep listening to it and find out new stuff. I think that's really cool.
So then I'm assuming, sorry, Riina, I'm hogging the conversation, but I'm assuming that
no worries.
You weren't all in the studio together then? It was done pretty much remotely?
Yeah, it was done pretty much remotely. We actually got together for the first time when most of the stuff was already recorded. And that's also one of the advantages of this day and age, of course, because we have a lot of video meetings and chat meetings to catch up, and that's so from a distance we we tell each other what we have in mind, and then we agree upon the bigger picture, and then we just go,
Right. Riina?
So if I go off, just tell me, because I have a tendency of taking a question and then drift off to something else.
No, we're good. I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what this entire show is about, so don't worry.
We never know where we're going to end up. Riina?
Yeah, that's all interesting stuff. And yeah, Annabelle's voice was extremely theatrical, and I can completely vouch for everything that you just said about how she uses her voice, and that was awesome. So I just really wanted to highlight that. It was really cool stuff.
Well,
I don't know, but I don't have a lot of questions because it like you've basically
Laid it all
served out a very full platter of answers already.
Oh, well, you don't hesitate to ask the question again, because I might be able to elaborate a little bit more about certain stuff you want to know. So I would say fire it up.
I know the lockdowns are starting to come away, or at least over here in the U.S. in some places. Are you guys planning on any shows yet, or half shows, or whatever they're doing, like half attendance kind of things?
No, actually, we don't have any concrete dates we're focusing on. That's also, I guess, because we hadn't started booking shows yet before everything closed down. And what you get now is obviously all the stuff that got postponed that was already planned.
Yep.
That will happen first. So
Sure.
I could imagine it's going to be a while before we see any stage.
I think promoters are going to have a hard time here once everything opens, because everybody's got to get back on the road, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then there's going to be like a flood of shows maybe in towns. I know I'm thinking here in Richmond, I imagine there's going to be like massive shows to choose from because everybody's got to get out and make a living.
Yeah. Personally, I think what will happen first is that most shows will be national. So I think that's the first to start again. And that's, for instance, here in the Netherlands. I don't think when anything opens up, I don't think we're going to have a lot of international bands coming in yet.
Right.
Because the hardest part will be the traveling and every country having their own rules, for you got to have negative tests with you, or you got to have the vaccine in your body or whatever. And every country has their own rules. So at first, I think it's going to be mostly weekenders in everybody's own country, how boring that may sound, but maybe a lot of people will discover what cool bands they have in their own country, actually. And then,
nice.
Yeah, and then after that, it's going to take a while before anything international is.
So if what you're saying is true, then the festival scene is going to be out for a while then, right?
At least it's going to be different, I think. I'm not sure if anything's really going to happen this year on that part. I know there have been dates planned, but yeah.
Oh, it looks like Annabelle's here. I'm going to get Annabelle in.
Oh, we have an extra.
Yeah, it just popped up.
Oh, right. I don't see her yet, but if you see her,
Annabelle, how are you? Oh.
Hey.
Hello.
Buttons. Let me push all the buttons.
Hey, how are you?
Hey. Aha. I did it.
There's my partner, Riina, up in the corner.
Hey.
And I'm assuming you know Frank.
Who?
Who are you? Hello?
Well, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. How are you today?
Right. Oh, alive and well. How are you?
Doing all right.
Good. Jolly good.
Getting to know Veile here a little bit.
Oh, God. Well, you're in for what day is it? Interesting evening. What day is it?
I was trying to hold the fort a little bit, but I'm happy you're here.
I think Frank did a perfect job, but let's go back real quick. If you don't mind, Frank, I'm going to shift to Annabelle here for a second, because we were just talking about those vocal lines and how they're hauntingly layered over a bunch of chaos almost. How did you come up with that? And how does it tie into your interest in the horror scene or whatever?
Well, very much comes from my own madness, really, that a bit. That's the inner workings of my mind. But we always wanted things to sound really organic and really sort of experiment with that sort of soundscape stuff. And that's something I love to do. For my audition for Veile, I actually created these soundscapes where I layered my voice in different choral patterns, different like two-tone stuff, and did all kinds of wacky stuff over the top. I absolutely love treating your voice as what it is, which is an instrument and sort of going, okay, how can I use this? How can I play with it? I've said to the guys many times before, some of my best vocal work, I sit on the toilet making pterodactyl sounds. That's how you do it. You sort of, you play around and you see, okay, I have this thing living in me right here that I carry around with me each day. What can I do with it? So that was a really fun process of me in my bedroom, recording, layering. And I think it really fits in with that multifaceted horror, especially that organic vibe of a real human screaming in your ear rolls. I said that very London, screaming in your ear rolls. It's
Sometimes I don't understand what she's saying, but that's because I'm Dutch, I guess.
It's okay, Frank. I don't understand what I'm saying half the time. I think that's part of the charm, apparently.
And you've got quite the pedigree in that sort of horror scene anyway, right? Because you worked with Danny in Devilement, correct?
Yeah. It's interesting to see how it's all sort of panned out. But the Veile stuff has been going on much longer. I've been doing this we've been together for around 3-4 years. So when I was doing the Devilment stuff, this had already been done. It's just taken so long to actually get to the stage where it was ready to be shoved out into the world. So for me, this is my first love. That's only now coming to light.
Right. Riina?
Bruce, I have to point out that did you again just horribly mispronounce the band name? Did you just call it Devilement? Isn't it Devilment?
Yeah, but Devilement sounds exactly how the Queen of England would say it.
All right, so there we go. I'm not too far off. Hey, Charles is here.
Is he?
Yeah.
Where is he?
Oh my God!
Is he?
Oh. Hang on,
Comes a band meeting.
This is almost like a real life studio where the musicians just pop in one after another. It's like, oh, look who's here at the door.
Hello. Charles. Hello, my friend.
Hi.
That's my partner, Riina, in the, I don't know where she is on your screen, but that's Riina.
Hello.
It's the one you don't know, I guess. Thanks for
It's going to be really weird. It's going to be such a weird thing to say. You're the only other Riina I know. My mum's called Riina. Not that that's relevant in any way. Yeah, my mum's called Riina. She's Italian. She's called Riina, and I've never encountered another Riina. So this is very exciting for me.
Does she have one eye or two eyes?
One. She has one.
I have two. So I win.
Yeah, you've doubled up. You did what we did and added an extra letter in your name, and boom.
And called it Devilement. Sorry, I have a history of mispronunciations, and it's first to jump in and point that out right in the middle of the conversation.
It's my better than defilement, I suppose.
Exactly, right. Better than defilement. Charles.
Yes.
Can you hear us all right?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I hear you're the mastermind behind the whole project. How did it come about outside of your mayhem thing, and what was the catalyst to put this together?
Yeah, basically, I had some ideas that I'd been playing around with for a while, and I didn't really know what to do with them, but I kind of had the sense that I wanted to do something. And none of these ideas really fit with the mayhem stuff. And I knew this drummer in England who plays for Winterfilleth, and we were going to, originally I spoke to him, and the idea was that we were going to put the project together and just try to do something with it. And we knew vaguely it was going to be some kind of thematic project, some sort of storytelling thing. We weren't too sure beyond that, other than that we knew we wanted to sort of incorporate some elements of traditional horror and certain historical aspects and that kind of thing. But it was a very vague concept at that point. So then we started to think about what to do next, which was obviously to find a vocalist. And then we thought once we had a voice, we would have a clearer idea of where we maybe could take the whole thing. So we put out a very vague call for a vocalist. We didn't know if we wanted, a clean singer or a screamer or what, really. We didn't have a clue. And then when Annabelle auditioned, that it just immediately it set off a thing, that we just knew this is where we want to go with this. This is how we want it to be, because it's nothing really. It's not, it's not really. I don't know where it fits generically, which is great because that's exactly what we wanted it to be. It's not your typical sort of female-fronted metal, and it's not your standard black metal or death metal or any of that kind of thing. So it was a very organic evolution, to answer your question. There was no real idea behind it at first, beyond just a vague sense that we wanted to do something a little bit different and something that was interesting for us. But then he left the project, so I guess it wasn't that interesting for him. And then we found Frank and just got on with it, I suppose.
Okay, Riina.
So, what would you say the goals are for this project?
We don't really know. We talked about this a little bit the other day because it started to feel like maybe it would be a good idea to have some sort of aim, and so we started to talk about that. And I think we had this sense that we want to do something that maybe crosses over into other areas of art. I don't know what that would involve yet, but maybe some elements of theatre or of I don't know. But there's a vague sense that it might be cool to try to overlap it with some other areas of art and try to push it in that direction without sounding too pretentious, but just to do something a little bit more than just playing shows and just being a metal band, something that can take us to some other spheres and some other audiences. I think that's kind of what we're thinking at the moment that we'd like to do. Whether that will work or whether we'll be accepted or whether we'll have the opportunity to do that remains to be seen, but that's certainly something that we would like to explore.
And when it comes to releasing music, we obviously have a plan of releasing more than just the single. So behind the scenes, we're already working on release schedule for the rest of the year. So at least what we can say now is there will be more.
Are you planning on the single model, so a new single here and there instead of the traditional EP or record?
Not necessarily instead of, but I think that a good first step to show people what you got and the fact that you are there and what you do is to release a few singles before going into an immediate full length or anything.
And I think
sorry, go on.
But I don't think it's going to be singles exclusively.
I think the music business model has sort of changed though anyway, right? Because people like my son's age, 17, 18 years old, they're not going out and buying records like we all did, or I assume we all did, and listening to them. They're just downloading like one song at a time for 99 cents or whatever.
This is absolutely a discussion that we've been having about that, about how we're going to work with releases. And I think initially the idea is to do the single thing. But as Frank said, we have some plans to release something, some other packages and hopefully some physical releases and some cool stuff that's worth owning, beyond just the like you said, the downloaded music is great and everything, but it would be nice to give people something to hold and something to something that's physical and tangible.
Yes.
As you can hear, we are all about storytelling in our music and stuff, but we are writing our own story as we go along.
So I'm going to get to Riina. I'll let Riina jump in, but I keep hogging the conversation here. Charles, I asked Frank this at the beginning or somewhere in the middle here. When you were writing, did you have the storyline all set and stage props and everything already in mind when you're writing this whole thing? Or is it evolving as it goes? Or are you just writing music first? Or
it's evolving as it goes, but it starts generally with some musical ideas that are just like sketchpad ideas, and then once a structure comes into place, we generally then start to talk about ideas, the stories behind the ideas, and once we know that, then we can fill in all the rest. And I think there's always a sense of some sort of visual element to it, right from the early stages. There's always a sense of what the song should represent and how it should feel. And I don't think we've got as far as stage props, but I think for the most part, because all the songs are so clear in their theme, or at least to us, by the time it gets to the audience, they're a little bit obscured, but we know what the songs are all about. So the stage props and that kind of thing will suggest itself. There won't be a huge amount of work to do in the concepts behind that, because they're all in the songs anyway. We
do get image folders though. We're like, when I start listening through, we have a shared drive folder where each track we will start uploading images that evoke from that track or whatever story we're trying to evoke. Because I'm quite a visual person, so that's how I sort of process what's going on. And we'll talk about, but every time Charles has given like a starting point, like a sketch pad, there's always been a name attached to it or a theme or something. Right. And it's quite collaborative from there on out. We all sort of shred it apart a bit, and
it's a bit like sort of storyboarding in a way once we get going with it. And certainly when we start sharing the images and sometimes it can be stories like folk tales or whatever it happens to be. Like Annabelle said, we have a shared folder, so we start to tune into each other on exactly where each particular song, what the aesthetic of it is, what the feel of it is, and that it does make the process a lot easier. It definitely makes it a lot more fun, because for me, I come from very much a kind of it was mainly film scores, I suppose, that pulled me into music originally way back. So for me, music always makes much more sense when it has an actual concept behind it rather than it just being sound, So yeah, in that sense, it's a lot easier when we start to share the imagery and the visuals and the ideas. Then it takes on a life of its own, and then the creativity starts to flow in a really enjoyable way.
Awesome, Riina, you got anything else?
No, I think we're good, and we're also running out of time.
Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time. That was great. You guys all made it in.
Thank you very much for having us.
No, thank you.
I appreciate your time, and I'll go ahead and get you a link when it's up, and good luck with the record and rest of your singles.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll keep in touch.
Be well.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Take care.
Bye.
See ya.
Ever wonder what a punch from Elton John feels like?
Or how you'd cope with having turned down the chance to be in Nirvana?
Or what signal Keith Richards gives when he wants you to get the hell out of his hotel room?
Fans of Too Much Effing Perspective don't have to wonder, because they've heard these exact stories and a jillion others on our podcast. I'm Alex Hoffman, former tour manager for Radiohead.
And I'm musician and comedy writer Alan Keller. On the TMEP show, we get guests like Nancy Wilson from Heart, Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and Modern Family's Julie Bowen to tell us things they may have only shared with their therapist, clergy, or a TMZ stringer.
So join us on Too Much Effing Perspective. That's EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.